we made Hot Dog Not Hot Dog based off of the Silicon Valley show. And so I want to go ahead and demo that real quick for folks that weren't here on Tuesday, just so you can see the power of the things we're building. And then we're going to talk through the services real quick, and we're going to see 2 new apps. So here I have Hot Dog Not Hot Dog. The code is all on our 100 Devs GitHub page. So what this is a set of code that you can go ahead and clone down and start using all of the computer vision services that Azure provides. And so I'm going to go ahead and start the server. We're good. I'm going to go localhost 212121, of course. And here we go. I now have the ability to upload an image. So let me go ahead and upload an image. I'm going to upload my pre-cut image here, and I'm going to upload. Whew. Glad it worked out. I am not a hot dog. We have proved once and for all, I am not a hot dog. And so then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick a hot dog image here. I'm going to upload it. Boom, hot dog. There we go. This is some expert level portfolio pumping here, folks. You could put this into your portfolio right now and change out one line. Let me show you the line. You come down here. We have this lovely hot dog count, right? Counting if there's a hot dog. And right here on line 80, you change this from hot dog to anything that you want. And you have now built an app that will detect that object in any photo that you upload. What? So if you wanted to build an app that detects cars, you could do it. As we saw with Sheenan's app, you wanted to detect if there's a dog in it, you can do it. And so this app is using the Cognitive Services starter code, but we've extended it so that we can have the ability to upload photos and know whether or not what's in them. So the cool thing is we just expanded a little bit so that we can upload our photos. We're using Cloudinary to host our photos and then sending that hosted photo to Microsoft's API service. And so the beautiful thing is that I'm seeing some folks in chat that are like, Leon, wait a minute. We don't have to do any training. If you're doing traditional machine learning, you're going to do something called training your models. So back in the day, if you wanted to detect a fire hydrant, well, guess what? You needed thousands of fire hydrants to show to your code saying, hey, this is what a fire hydrant looks like. This is what a fire hydrant looks like. And you would train that model so the next time that it saw a fire hydrant photo, it would have a good idea. That takes a long time. You needed lots of photos. You needed a pretty beefy computer to do it. And Microsoft just went ahead and did that for all of us, for a lot of stuff. And so now we can see that very easily we can build apps where we can detect whatever we want using this lovely computer vision API. So what I want to do real quick is just walk through this very briefly. We're going to move into the new stuff. I just wanted to show this one because I thought it was really cool. And I want to show that if you're new, that it's not too scary. If you just know a little bit of JavaScript and a little bit of Node, you can build this app. If you have an Azure account, which we're going to walk through, you can get keys to a bunch of different services. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through grabbing one of those keys. When you create a Microsoft Azure account, you have the ability to create resources. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create the resources so you can get access to these really powerful tools so that you can build an app that detects not only hot dogs, but anything that you want to detect. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and set up some accounts so that we can build the Hot Dog Not Hot Dog app. And so there are 2 ways to create an Azure account that get you access to all this stuff for free. One is a student account. So if you have access to a student email or even like an alumni email, if it ends in an edu email, you can get access to a student account. And if you don't have access to a student email, you can get access through the Microsoft 365 platform. And so that's a free way to create an Azure account. And when you go through that link and you create your account, you can set up the account and you won't need to pay, and you don't need a credit card. So we can do all the stuff that we're doing here absolutely for free, never pay a dime. I haven't paid to do any of this stuff. Any of the apps I showed you on Tuesday, and any apps we're going to show you tonight, I'm literally not paying to do them. It's amazing. Once you've logged into your Azure account, you can click to the portal. So you just log in and it kind of drops you here. You go to your portal, or you just get to this place here. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and create a resource to get the keys for any of the different services you want to use. Cognitive services that we've been using is a big overarching umbrella, and there's a lot of different things that you can get keys for. So I'm going to click create a resource, and then there's all these categories of things that Microsoft offers through Azure that you can create. But the one we're looking for is the AI and machine learning. So we're going to go ahead and click on this AI and machine learning. And then once we click here, what you'll notice is that we have available to us kind of all the big pieces that we've been using. If we look here, we have machine learning tools that we can create with. This is like if you want to do like some of your own training. We have the computer vision stuff that we've been using, face that we've been using, and text, which we'll be using tonight as well. So all three of the big ones are right here for you to do. So if you're trying to build hot dog, not hot dog, and I know some folks had a little bit of trouble, that's why I'm walking through it now. You would click create on the computer vision, and you're gonna have to pick your subscription, whether it's the Microsoft 360 or Azure for Students, whatever one your account's set up as. And then you're gonna create a resource group if you don't have one. I've made a resource group just for all of my 100 devs content, and then I have another one for like personal stuff. So you just create it once, and then you have the resource group. You pick your region. When you pick your region, be mindful. My apps weren't working because I had forgotten that I had changed it from east to west. So just be mindful of whatever you pick. That's the one you're going to use. And then a name. I'm going to put 100 devs on here. And I'm just going to call this Computer Vision or CV Demo, just a name. And then your pricing tier is tied to the account that you've created. I'm just going to use my free tier that I have access to. And then I certify that I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. I'm going to check the box. And I love that they have like a responsible AI notice. That's pretty cool. And then at the bottom, there's this review and create button, and that's what you're going to click. Now, a lot of this takes some time. A lot of times when you're provisioning things, it's going to take a little while to set up. Once you get to this page and it says validation passed, you're going to click on the bottom here on create. And then it's going to deploy. And then it's just going to take a while to deploy. It'll take like a minute or so. Oh, that was quick. All right, now once we're here, the beautiful thing about the Cognitive Services platform here is that there's a lot of stuff right here that you can just use and get off the ground running. They have a lot of the quick starts here that are really easy to just like, if you know any of these languages, it's a one click and it'll give you a lot of the boilerplate that I've been using. There's Node boilerplates, all that fun stuff. But what we're looking for over here is keys and endpoints. And so here, these are if I wanted to use the computer vision resources, I'm going to need this key and I'm going to need this location. Some of the services that you will need will also need an endpoint, and it's all here. So the beautiful thing is, you saw how pretty much it was pretty easy to create this key. You create your resource group, you give it a name, you let it deploy, and then once you're in this portion, you're going to go ahead and click on keys and endpoint. The interesting thing is, even though it's all underneath the Cognitive Services umbrella, there are different kind of keys and processes for which service you are using. So you can't use the same key across your computer vision, like the photo stuff that we've been doing, if you want to do stuff with like speech recognition. Or you can't use the same key if you're trying to look at text and get the sentiment behind text. They're all different sets of keys, which means that you're going to have to create different resources for them. The only one that's not right here, if you want it, is the speech recognition. So I just typed in speech. It is the first one that comes up, the Microsoft one. You click create, and that's how you get your keys for speech as well. So hopefully that helps if you were kind of stuck on where to get the keys. You need those, and then you're going to plop them into your environments file. So if you're looking at any of the examples that we have here on our GitHub, like say the speech translator or text sentiment, what you're going to see is that down here, I have told you what keys you actually need. And so if you clone down this repository and you go to run it, you do your npm install and you go to run this code, it is not going to work because you have not yet put your environment variables in. And so your environment variables are going to be needed for this code to run. So if you're going to use this text sentiment code that we're about to go through, you're going to need to clone it down and then go to your Azure account, go to your text resources that you've created, and grab your keys and endpoint from here. And that's what the text services require. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is hot dog, not hot dog. I'm gonna chill this server here and we're gonna look at our first app of the evening. We created an app on Tuesday where we were able to take a picture of someone's face and tell how the interview is going. But what about if they are emailing us after our interview? How do we know how they're feeling? How do we know how we're doing in the interview process? So we've built a new app that we're going to walk through this evening that will enable us to look at text and see if the text is positive, negative, how they're feeling. I'm going to go ahead and run this code. This is the text sentiment that I just posted in chat. Let me go ahead and do my npm start. And don't worry, we're going to walk through it all. I just want to show it first. We have it running. I'm going to go to my localhost 2121, of course. So here we go. We have a text area. I'm going to put I hate things. Let me make this a little bigger here. I typed in I hate things. So imagine this is email you just got back from a recruiter. We're going to upload the text that we just got back from a recruiter. And boom, it told us that that was a negative message from the recruiter. Let's try it again. Let's go ahead and say, I love your resume. Let's see what we get. What? Hold on. So we're getting undefined text here. So if we look, the first one that we did, we're getting overall sentiment negative, document text undefined. So that to me seems like we're probably not passing something through correctly. So let's see if we can do a little debugging here. We're going to take this as an opportunity to walk through this application. All right, so let's talk through the app and we're going to take our time through it to understand what's happening here. We are using a simple node server. So you're seeing me start the server by doing npm start. That is doing is if you look in our package.json, we have this start command, which is going to run our node application. Down here, you see all the dependencies that we need for this to work. We need the Azure dependency for text analytics. This is something new. And we have all of the other dependencies that we just had for all of the projects that we've been working on, just to have it normal. We have our package.json, which has our start command, has all the dependencies that we need. Great. So let's start with our app.js. We're using Express to make sure that our routes are nice and simple. So we have a get and a post. And then we also have our requiring of our env files. We use our environment variables. And if you look at the README, it tells you how to create the environment variables and which ones. So you're going to create a config folder that you can see here in my code. And then my env file has these three things: a port, an endpoint, and our API key that I just showed you how to get. That's how we can use those environment variables so that we don't push stuff up to GitHub. Of course, in our git ignore is our environment variable. Yeah. So we know that we're not pushing our node modules folder because it's just a big folder of stuff that we don't need to, and our .env file. Since we're not pushing our node modules, the first thing you would need to do if you clone down this code would be to do your npm install, but we should be familiar with that. Next, we are requiring the packages that Azure needs to do the text analytics, to actually look our analytics and figure out what the heck's going on. We need this package. We've seen some other packages. We saw a computer vision package. We saw the face one. And so this one's slightly different. This is the one that enables us to do stuff with text, which is pretty cool. Next, we have our pulling our endpoint from our env file and our API key from our env file. Without these, you won't be able to actually make a request to Azure. So you need to make sure that those are there. And this is coming from their documentation. It's not something that I knew how to do. It's not something that I had ever seen before. But the beautiful thing is if you go to the cognitive services and we go to where the keys are, right? Like if we go back to where our keys are, there's always these quick starts. And these quick starts take you right to the documentation. And for sometimes they even have like really good starters that I've used for a lot of the projects built. And so you can even see that there's a Node.js quick start right here that you could click and it would give you everything you need to know about text. So I just want to make sure that if you're new or you're like, Leon, how did you figure this stuff out? I didn't. It was beautiful documentation provided by Microsoft. I just wrapped it in Express that we should all feel a bit more comfortable with here. Next, I have my server set up. We're using EJS as our templating language. We are having a public folder to put all of our static files, like our CSS and our JavaScript, all of our client-side stuff. We set up body parser. If you haven't used Express in a little while, you used to need a package called body parser to look at the requests and responses that are coming back with the server. But the cool thing is now that's just built into Express. And so that's going to enable us to look at any of the requests that are coming in and grab the text. We have our default get route. So that's how we actually serve up our main page. So if we refresh, we go back. Let me run the server. npm start, server's running. We go to our localhost 2121 and we're able to serve up this page because it is served here. We have our lovely get route that serves up our index EJS. Now the next one is our post. So when we fill out that text area and we click the upload or the submit button, we're gonna run this code here. What we have here is some weird, what we have here is a little bit of a weird thing. We are taking that rec.body.send text and we are turning it into a string. That looks a little sus. We might have to come back to this. But the idea is that when you submit a request, right? So when we come over here and you put in, I hope you have a nice day, I am making a post request. I am submitting a form. And so since I am submitting a form, I want to be able to grab the information that's coming from that form. So I'm able to do rec.body and I can grab the value off of that form. So if I go back and look at my form, we're going to see something a little interesting here. Text area, send text, send text. I don't know. Hold on. Let's do something real quick. Let's change this to an input. I want to get rid of all the sus stuff that I'm seeing. All right, let's save this and I want to run it again. All right, let's come back. I love you. Invalid document requests. Uh-oh. Let's try one more time. Let's make sure. Let's see. Let's figure out the sus stuff here. Let's put back the string. Let's hard code it. Let's test it. This is what I was doing when I was building it. So let's test it. Let's do I love you. Let's go ahead and start it again. Let's refresh. All right. I'll take your love. All right. So can you figure out what's going on here? Can you figure out why it's not working? Can we figure out what's going on here? Let's try something. Let's go here and do rec.body. Let's console log this. And let's see if it's there. And let's go ahead and restart the server. This doesn't matter. I'm just putting I. We're getting empty. That's telling us that our request that we're making, like our post, isn't working. Somebody's saying all caps posts. There we go. Hold on. Let's do it. I love your resume. Positive. Boom. I hate your face. Boom. We got it. Let's go. What would be neutral? I saw your resume. Yes, let's go. Go kick rocks. I love this. This is so cool. Hold on. Let's take a look at the code. We're going to take a look at the code. All right. We have our lovely setup that we talked through already. And then we have our post method. And our post method was giving us some trouble, right? But we figured it out thanks to the amazing supportive chat. We are inside of our post. We console logged the rec.body. So remember, whenever you make a request, you're sending that request to the server And along with that request is a body. And since we set up our server with these lovely 2 lines here, we can take a peek at that request that's coming into our server. And so what we did is we looked at that rec.body, and what we're able to do is to pull the pieces out of the form that was sent. Because when we hit upload, what we are doing is we are sending a request to a server from that form. And what we can do is once that request makes it to our server, we can see all the information that was in that form. If we look at our index.ejs, we can see that our input has the name of send text. So when I do rec.body.sendText, I can pull that text out of that input. Beautiful. Now that I have the text out of that input, I'm going to start using some of the boilerplate that I got through going through the docs. So I know that I can actually pass in many different pieces of text all at one time. So like if you had a really large, like if you're going to take this and add it to your portfolio and build it out, right? You could actually handle multiple submissions at one time. You could handle bigger pieces of text all at one time. And you can actually have these all comma separated and they'll still all work. The stuff we have here is the boilerplate for making the request to the sentiment analysis part of the Azure Cognitive services. So once again, I got that from the quick start. Did not have to code this out. This is all provided to us from Microsoft. And that's how we get these lovely, like this really beautiful console log here that has all of the like more stuff in it. Like it gives us the confidence scores of how likely it is that it is positive, or how likely it is that it is negative, or how likely it is that it's neutral. So all that's there in that lovely console log. And then what I did is I saw that the request to the sentiment analysis is being stored in results. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take results and I'm going to pass that through to my results EJS. You can see I'm just going to have a nice little for loop, and that for loop is going to loop through all the results we got back. Because remember, I said you can pass in multiple pieces of text. It's going to loop through all the results we got back and just paste the sentiment for each of those pieces. That's pretty cool. So the really neat thing is that there are so many things the actual text side of cognitive services can do. If we go to this quick start here, what you're going to notice is that they have underneath the text analytics portion, they have quick starts for all different languages. I know some of you are doing some Python, but for JavaScript, they have a bunch of the like code that we can start using. It'll walk you through how to do it. And then they also have all of these samples. And so if we go to the samples in JavaScript, which will take us to GitHub, there are all these things that they give us right out the gate. So using this template that we have with the ability to upload, enter code, get a response back from Microsoft and put it back into the DOM, you can now do that for any of the things that the text side of cognitive services can do. So you can analyze whole documents, you can get sentiment, you can detect the language, you can look for key phrases. There's all this stuff that now you have the ability to do. All you need to do is to take this template. I love it. I built the app that I showed you tonight, but I built like 3 or 4 more on the road to doing this with the same code. Like I really want you all to run with this stuff so that you can have some more meaty portfolio pieces. And as you're getting into your premium apps, you can start changing this up, right? Like you can start to figure out how you're going to make your applications look better. All right, I'm going to chill this server real quick here. Our last app of the series, one that I had a lot of fun with. Let me go ahead and clear. So let me go ahead and start this server. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my browser here. Now, for this to work, I have patched a few different pieces together. We are using the Cognitive Services Speech SDK. What this is the tools that you need to use the speech services. We've seen vision, we've seen text, we've seen face. Now we're going to see speech. It's really powerful. So for this to work, they've given us some front end code as a starter. And what I've done is I've taken that front end code and I've added a bunch of stuff to it to make it do some really interesting things. For this to work, you need your key and your service region. So I'm going to show you how to do this again. To get this key and service region, I am going to come up here. I'm going to go to my home. Since I have already created the speech resource, I'm just going to go back to it. And I am going to go to my keys and endpoint. And you can see that my location is West US 2. And West US 2 is where we're at. So let's come over here. I'm going to put in my key. I of course changed it to the password so you don't see the key here. And we're going to put in the West US 2. I'm going to be speaking English. And I want the target language to be Spanish. And I'm going to go ahead and start the recognition. My name is Leon, and I have 2 dogs. What? Hold on. Let me make this bigger. It blows my mind. It's free. Now here's the next piece, though. Here's where we take it to the next level. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. All right, so I have this is my speech template that we're using. And I'm going to bring this up on screen. We're going to do this again. So I'm going to put in my key, put in my service region, West US 2. I'm going to put in English, and then I'm going to put in Spanish again. And I'm going to start the recognition. My name is Leon, and I am drinking coffee. All right, let's go. Text to speech, click the button. And what you'll notice is I have this new audio file here in my Finder here. Let me open with VLC, crank the volume. Hold on, let me bring my microphone a little bit closer.
Mi nombre es Leon y estoy tomando café.
What? If there's, I don't know how else to blow your mind. This didn't do it for you. I don't know what else I could do for you. The fact that this is translating in real time to a different language, and then we can actually turn it into speech that can then be heard by someone. My Spanish isn't that great. I'm going home this weekend to spend time with my wife's family. I'm busting out this app. And the fact that I can cobble this together very quickly and for free is just blowing my mind. And the cool thing is, so many languages, right? I don't know Japanese. Is there Mandarin? But this is wild. Hi, my name is Leon. So with a free tool, I'm going to keep saying it because it just blows my mind. You can translate on the fly from one language to another, and then also get the sound back out to be said to that person. So you don't even need to read it. You can just have it say it. I don't know what else I don't know what else that could do to blow your mind. I don't know what else could do to shout out to Microsoft. For real. We can build apps that can determine what's in a photo. We can build apps that can figure out whether somebody's angry with you, both visually and in text. We can build apps that translate on the fly. We talked about this before. There are some things that just feel like the whole world is opening up to you, and this is one of those things. I really hope, I'm going to go big here. Please take some of this stuff and run with it. Let your imagination go wild, because sky is the limit with all of this stuff. We have done so many wild things between these last 2 classes that you can now go and build. So please take this stuff, create a free account. You can do !AI. That's the link that Microsoft gave us, !AI. Click that link and build. That is so, it just blows my mind. All the stuff you can do is right there, and all the starter codes on our GitHub. Really, even if you're newer and you don't have a lot of experience, the stuff you need is all there, and you're just changing a few lines here with these templates. Build some really cool stuff for your portfolio. It's so mind-blowing. All right, so same thing that we saw before. We have the same dependencies, except I have a new one for the speech services. So we just have the speech services. We've seen computer vision, we've seen face, we've seen text, and now we've seen speech. So the speech one is here. The thing that they gave you originally in the starter code is this client-side file. So this client-side file is straight from the docs, and it enables you to start a speech, like start the speech recognition in your browser. And the last thing we did is we let it kind of do its thing, is just some client-side JavaScript on our part. That client-side JavaScript, what it's going to do, it is going to take the text from our text area, and we are going to send that translated text to our server. And once that text is on our server, we are going to use the speech API to then turn that into the sound file that you all heard using another service, right? So the beautiful thing here is that the translation is being done by the speech service as well. And then the actual converting it to spoken word is also through the speech service as well. And so if we go ahead and we look at the app, it's kind of similar to some of the other ones that we've seen. We're using our environment variables to pull in our keys as well. You go ahead and name your file whatever you want. So whatever you name your file here is the file that will show up in your actual folder structure. So down here we have our normal get and our normal posts. But the beautiful thing is we are pulling the information that came from that post and passing it in to the speak text async. So, and at the end, it spits out that audio file. Now, the interesting thing is that you could take that audio file and maybe even put it back up to Cloudinary. So we saw how to upload media to Cloudinary on Tuesday. There's nothing that's stopping you from like taking that sound, hosting it somewhere else, reusing it as part of your app. Like you can really go to your heart's content. Alrighty, folks. We really just did that thing, didn't we? Think about the apps that we were able to build over the last 2 days thanks to Microsoft. I'm serious. We can look at images and figure out what's in them. We can translate text on the fly. Like, what? I hope you had some fun. I hope that you enjoyed these apps. I hope that you had some fun. Hope you learned. Thank you to Microsoft for sponsoring. Once again, Microsoft, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And thank you for all the wonderful stuff you're doing for our community and for developers at large.